if you're a sensitive person, just keep your mouth shut. Like, if you get so upset when someone says something mean to you, or someone says something to you and it bothers you and you get so upset, why do you start fights? Why do sensitive people always want to bark first? And if anyone says anything to them, they like crumble and fall apart.
Okay.
Hi guys, I'm Dana. Thanks so much for being here. Welcome back to another dive into internet BS. And trust me, today's story is wild. More and more influencers, coaches, and self-proclaimed relationship gurus are flooding the online space, teaching vulnerable people how to fix their lives with flashy pseudoscience. And equally, so many of them don't even practice what they preach. Their real lives often look like complete opposite of the perfect image they sell. And there's one name that's been buzzing lately, Dr. Sadia Khan. Yep, that doctor title is questionable, and we'll get into why. She's branded herself as a high-value woman, a relationship coach, renowned psychologist, and a Dubai-based influencer. But recently, she's been exposed for some pretty shady things, charging people close to £9,000 for so-called therapy sessions, lying about her qualifications, and dishing out questionable advice, and allegedly even playing the role of the other woman. So stick around because we are breaking down the rise and unraveling the contradictions of Sadia Khan.
Guys, whenever I see a content creator with a really heavy female fan base, I automatically know that content creator is going to be
Okay.
To really understand why Sadia Khan is surrounded by so much controversy that threatens her career as a relationship coach and the image of her online brand, we first need to explore who she is and what she stands for. And honestly, what better way to do that than by digging into her past and simply listening to what she has to say. Sadia got her start on TikTok like so many other influencers and quickly carved out a niche posting videos aimed at the red pill community. Her content leaned heavily into traditional values like labeling men as providers and protectors, and women were encouraged to embrace their femininity, submit, and avoid so-called toxic feminism at all costs.
Yes, I agree, bad men exist, but these men are created, not born. And I'll tell you what's causing this: toxic feminism. What feminism does is simultaneously teach women to detest masculine traits in men, but cultivate them in themselves. So for instance, a man that cheats is trash, but a woman who cheats is a bad. Or a man who sexualizes women is misogynistic, but a woman should sell her nudes online and she's a bad.
From there, Sadia started appearing on Red Pill podcasts, often debating men and women dynamics with the self-proclaimed masculine men of the space. And remember, this was during the peak of the Andrew Tate wave, when that brand of hyper-masculinity was trending everywhere, so naturally her content slotted right in.
When you have a high body count, man or woman, you have to drop your standards in order to have a high body count, either in the women that you're investing in or the treatment you're getting.
I think it depends who you are.
It depends who you are, but the reality is, even if you're Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever it is, you have to choose a woman who's very promiscuous for her to be okay with one-night stands. So used to such a low level of woman, you no longer have the skills and tools required to speak, to communicate, or be with a wholesome, good woman that can maintain a marriage.
She also spoke a lot about femininity and the so-called feminine energy, her message being men should always pay for the first date because they're supposed to be the ones chasing. Meanwhile, women should just sit back, stay soft, and embrace their femininity, giving none of that feminist bull here, please.
I understand that a lot of men fear being used financially, but women fear being used physically. How you remove the fear is simply by asking more meaningful questions before the date. So find out what she does for a living, what her previous relationship's like, what she's looking for in a partner. That way you'll be able to understand if she's using you. Women reduce their fear of being used physically by assessing the amount of investment a man makes in them. This can include time, money, energy. When he pays for a first date, that signals some level of investment and it removes her anxiety. Ladies, if you are going to expect a man to pay for the first date, you need to be a feminine woman. Don't have this attitude of equality and feminism in other aspects, but when it comes to paying for a date, you expect him to.
She also weighed in on the whole gold digging debate, and this is where things start to get a little contradictory. In one of her early videos, she actually claimed that rich men aren't afraid of gold diggers. In fact, she said they prefer them because gold diggers supposedly appreciate what wealthy men bring to the table.
Can I just say, it's incredibly cringe when a guy who's not rich is worried about a gold digger. It's like me living in the desert, worried every night that I'm going to drown to death. It's not in your realm of reality. Also, rich men don't have a problem with gold diggers. Rich men know that their lifestyle is what sets them apart from other men, and they want a woman who's attracted to that because she then appreciates what he's bringing to the table. So the idea that broke men worry about gold diggers is embarrassing.
But that didn't last long, as her content evolved, she completely flipped the script, suddenly calling gold digging low value and insisting that women who do it have nothing to offer beyond their bodies. Now, her advice was that men should avoid gold diggers altogether and instead look for an equal or a so-called good woman.
The gold digger woman is the woman that actually brings nothing to the table and is looking for a man to save her entire life. That might include even paying her parents' bills. That might include covering her every single part. A woman who's a good woman and is looking for somebody on the same intellectual and financial level as her. Now, if in her life she's got a good education, good career, comes from a good family, she is incompatible with somebody who's not on the same level. The gold digger is somebody who wants you to save her from the misery of her own life or the burdens of her own life. She doesn't bring anything outside of physical relationships. She doesn't bring anything outside of her physicality.
Now, I do agree with one thing. Most women want an equal partner to share their lives with. But let's be real, men aren't that different either. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one word: compatibility. Think about it. A big spender and a frugal saver. Probably not a match. Someone who values loyalty paired with a cheater. A complete disaster. A person who craves financial stability with someone who doesn't care about money equals constant conflict. A guy who wants a housewife with a woman who's career-driven. A recipe for resentment. The truth is, there isn't a single right way to do relationships. No matter what these so-called gurus try to push, there are as many ways as there are people, and it all boils down to one thing. Again, compatibility. Even though Sadia initially tailored her content very strategically towards men and the red pill community, that has shifted somehow as the pink pill movement gained popularity. Whereas she used to be openly anti-feminist and critical of girl boss culture, she has gradually started promoting ideas like women past certain age don't need a man, but men still need women.
The reason why there's such a crisis of men being lonely is because when women turn 45, 50, 55, 60 onwards, if they find themselves single, the last thing on their mind is finding a man. That's the last thing on their mind. They are totally happy to focus on their kids, their grandkids. They're happy in that moment. Men will get to 70 and still be seeking a woman.
Honestly, I don't buy that. The idea that women suddenly don't need anyone once the biological clock ticks down just doesn't match reality. If you actually talk to single people over 40, women and men alike, you'll see that they are not all out here feeling grateful for being alone. Most want companionship. Even the biggest introverts love having a supportive best friend or a partner by their side. Sure, not everyone finds the right person and not every relationship is perfect, but let's be real. Most people, no matter their gender, would rather have someone than be alone. If it wasn't the case, most of these relationship coaches wouldn't have an audience. The whole high value, low value thing is clearly a big part of Sadia's personal brand. She even offers a 10-step program on how to become a high value man, all for the tiny, almost laughable fee of £9,000. Because what's £9,000 when it's going to turn you into this incredibly successful six-figure high-value man, right? But if you want to be a high-value woman, don't worry. You don't need to spend a penny. In fact, you don't even need to earn anything. According to Sadia's deep psychological research, all you need is to be born beautiful.
It's going to sound politically incorrect, but beauty is essential to be high value as a woman. Not because I believe it, but because this is what men respond to. Without beauty, unfortunately, you're limited in your value.
So if you're a woman and let's say not conventionally attractive, sorry, you're out of luck. But don't worry, you can always go under the knife. Maybe Sadia even can recommend her personal surgeon. Or if surgery isn't your thing, perhaps she has a special diet plan that will magically transform you into a high-value woman.
The thing I won't understand, people who are overweight and are terrified, and I mean like terrified to take a weight loss drug or an Ozempic or Manjaro, they're like, oh, there's too many side effects. There's too many side effects. Do you not think that there's side effects to being overweight? Do you not think those are worse side effects? Why wouldn't you think to yourself, let me just lose the weight and then get healthy? But right now, whatever you're doing is not working.
Now, if you've watched any of my content before, you probably know how much I despise the whole high value, low value concept. Hence my little playful sarcasm earlier. This idea has been completely corrupted and propagated online to make you feel like you need to be a specific way, follow someone's advice, binge their content, waste your time, and spend money on their courses. success. Let me give you an example. Say you come from a poor family. Your parents loved you and did their best to give you a good life. And now you've gone out and made more money than you could ever dream of, helping them along the way. Does that automatically make you high value? And does it make your parents low value because they're not wealthy? Chances are you probably don't see them as low value at all. Now let's say those parents were abusive. You grow up and you work to be a better person to those around you and to your future children. By societal norms, you might be seen as higher value because you're a better person overall. But that shows that value isn't about money, looks, or superficial things. It's about intrinsic qualities and behavior. Everyone has value from the moment they are born, and their value in society or in relationships may rise or fall based on their behavior and how much they are willing to contribute, not based on some arbitrary checklist of money, appearance, or societal standards. Also, very often, all these internet gurus who preach about being a high-value woman aren't really high value by their own standards.
I can have an attitude, and I can do it today if I want to.
Go on.
And I can do it on your wedding day and your birthday.
Okay, well,
and the
we'll
days
see.
After.
Okay.
I've been in situations where he's been with you in a social setting. He'll call me after.
Yes, and that was the same Sadia who was just giving advice on being a traditional high-value woman who respects herself and her own body, all while talking to a woman who happens to be engaged to the very man Sadia is allegedly cheating with. To make matters worse, Sadia later commented on the voice recording, claiming she wasn't cheating and that the other woman was just paranoid. To prove it, she even admitted to sending her this message, as if that somehow makes the situation look better.
I worked with a particular person in 2021. I was in a relationship, but he was really, really into me. He used to always call me, always be like this. He was in a relationship as well. He was like a bit obsessed with me or whatever. But he wasn't in one relationship. He was in like 5-6 different girls. He's a player like in Dubai, successful, those kind of people. And one girl called me and she was just like, oh, by the way, are you talking to this person? And I was just like, what are you talking about? No, I do not talk to him. And who are you to call me and ask him? Like, this is my nature, right? This is honestly my nature. If I wanted to, I could suck it on your wedding day. If I wanted to, I could have your man. He's called me when he's in social situations saying, oh, you're so boring without you, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. So I was saying, if I wanted to, I could do all of this.
And this isn't even the first time Sadia has lied. She also falsified her qualifications as a psychologist, a major red flag for someone who's giving psychological advice to couples, men, women, and vulnerable people. Lying about your education while you yapping online is one thing, but advertising yourself as a licensed psychologist and charging good money for therapy, that's not only unethical, it could also be considered a crime. If these allegations turn out to be true and Sadia herself doesn't provide proof of her master's degree to dispute the claims, this could become a very serious legal issue for her, especially if any of her previous clients decide to take her to court. But like many influencers and online gurus, Sadia doesn't take criticism very well. Anyone pointing out facts like her being unqualified to give advice while charging huge sums of money, or highlighting the stark contrast between her advice and her real-life behavior, is immediately labeled as a hater.
Well, currently, from what I'm going through, just try and stay strong, watch out for people who don't have your back, and be strong is what I'm trying to say. Be as strong as you can.
You know, very often I pass by hate and I know how difficult it is.
Yes.
And everybody who wants to be famous need to be ready, and sometimes people will hate you. What you can tell about haters?
I would say that unfortunately the more you have that people want, the more you attract haters. And so unfortunately the price of being a valuable person is invaluable people will try and take that off you. So try and stay strong when they do.
Supposedly, we are all wrong and just jealous of her level of success. And not taking accountability is one thing, but that's not all. If anyone even dares to criticize Sadia online, she will personally take the time to offend and bully them off the internet.
This person left a comment on her page, and she tried to call them via audio 4 or 5 times. And then when they wouldn't pick up, she left the threatening message that you'll see scroll by here: pick up, or I'm gonna post your address online. And here's another one from another one of my following: pick up, don't be scared. Don't be scared, pick up, calling over and over and over and over again.
She's even admitted to this herself, claiming that she has anger issues. Once again, showing complete lack of professional conduct for someone claiming to be a psychologist.
I do agree that it's not great conduct. And I got a really bad temper on me. So, and which is something I definitely have learned my lesson not to bother doing. But I just see it as like, if you're not my client, why do you get my service?
From her general advice, it's clear that Sadia puts a huge emphasis on the whole high value versus low value concept, but her guidance doesn't seem to come from years of study or books she's read as she tries to portray. Instead, her views seem to shift depending on what's happening in her life at the moment or what's trendy at the time.